Certainly, I think the most life-changing experience for me was 1994, June 6th. Our parents, my sister Patty and I, we went back to the Normandy beaches. My father had flown the P-51 Mustang during World War II, and we wanted to take Dad back to see it. We had seen his base in England, went across the channel, and we visited Omaha Beach. And to stand at Omaha Beach and look across at all of those grave markers, and realizing that millions of young men had dedicated everything. Hundreds of thousands never came home. That gave myself and my generation a chance to grow up in this country, in a world of freedom, where we could exercise our God-given talents to make our contribution. And I'd say, when you stand there and you look at the sacrifice that others have made, for me, that was the changing experience in my life that said, you got to get involved. You have to make a meaningful difference. Well, I've been quite fortunate. Influences in my life, my parents, my mother, always the imaginative and the creative one. Do anything, dream anything. Dad, a man of true duty and discipline. For father, growing up, a young boy started a paper route so he'd be able to afford his own clothing. Altar boy, Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, goes off to Notre Dame, and certainly the day after Pearl Harbor, he walked from his dorm room downtown in South Bend, Indiana, and signed up, became a P-51 fighter pilot. So our life was watching a man who gave his entire life to public service. He became an FBI agent, and all we grew up in our house was duty. You have a responsibility to God, to family, and to country. And he lived it out every day, and he expected us to live it out every day. And when it came time for dinner, you were on time, your shirt was tucked in, and your shoes were on your feet. And when Mother walked in the room, we all stood up. And she asked us a question. It was, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. That's how our house was. And you know what? It served us all well. 6 kids, and I think we understood that a man of duty, our father, gave us a real clear pathway that we had to make ourselves important in our local communities and make a difference wherever we could. Well, certainly one of the people important in our life is our great-grandfather, Napoleon Broward. And we're here today on the shores of the St. Johns River back at the homestead of Napoleon Broward. And many people will say to me from time to time, what's it like being the great-grandson of a governor? And it's true. He was a fabulous governor, turn of the 18th century into the 1900s. But it goes back far deeper than that. In fact, far more profound. He was a young man who was a risk-taker, an entrepreneur. He was a tugboat captain. In 1895, his brother Montcalm and a good friend, George de Coates, built a tugboat together, and they named it the Three Friends. About that time, Cuba was turmoiled in the Spanish occupation of Cuba, and there were Cuban freedom fighters who wanted to go back and claim their land and find freedom. And then tugboat captain Napoleon Broward believed in that idea of freedom, and he was the first individual that would run the Spanish blockades with freedom fighters. And even though he was fired upon and made 25 trips, ultimately some have even called it Broward's War, he kept that going until America itself would enter the war. So when I think back, yes, I'm proud he was a governor, and I'm proud that he made his contribution to public service, but long before that, he was a risk taker who believed so much in freedom that he'd risk his own life for people he didn't know. And of course, Cuba would find its independence, and we're awfully proud of that.